can kind of just publicly start our conversation about MFTE.
Sure.
So that it's in a public forum, and then at the next meeting, Mike, if we could have that as an agenda item, hopefully Eric will be able to join the discussion.
And what would you like, I guess the question is, what are you asking from the administration to deliver, or is it just a committee topic?
I think we can just make it a committee topic. I think that what we can do, what Jeff and I can do, and Eric, is we can look at the past presentation. We don't need to have somebody come back and rehash old business that they already spent a lot of time bringing to us. So let's do that. And so Jeff, do you want to, I know that you have, we talked briefly, but we want to talk publicly about it. Talk to me about your understanding or your feelings about the MFT proposal.
Sure. And I went back to the PowerPoint slide that was sent out to all of council last time this came up, I think about a month ago. And there are 4 items that were laid out, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they were kind of from the number 1 had, I think, the most agreement, to 4 probably the least agreement. So 1 and 2, I believe, were my understanding was council was pretty much all aligned on, and that was to enable the 20-year MFTE that's new from the state. That's we've only had the 8 and 12, but now there's a 20-year option. So it was to enable that 20 plus allowing 12 years to convert to the 20 if they meet the requirements. I believe there was no opposition to that, and personally I think that's great to put on the books. The other item was I believe providing for relocation assistance, and I forget all the exact details, but it was kind of first and last month's rent and then helping people find a new place. So again, I had no opposition to that personally, and I think there was overall a broad agreement for it. It's possible some people might want to get in the details of both months or 1 month, but I was happy with it as is. So then we got into 3 and 4, and I didn't write down. Oh, that's right. So 3 was adjusting the 12-year income from where it currently sits, more toward the median income or just below median, to a lower threshold. And I went back and refreshed on that argument, and that was where I last left that off in my thinking. Was at council we had a discussion of wondering if dropping that threshold would make it so that the people developing the buildings wouldn't use it anymore. That we saw that the 12-year wasn't used very often already, and the worry among some of us was if you drop the income for the 20% affordable units, then for the developers it'll no longer pencil out, and that they're not really making the tax savings that they're getting from the MFTE is not as much as the money they're losing by not being able to put it at market rate. And so I had done a back of the envelope calculation using some of the publicly available data for, I believe it was the 606 apartment project. And my calculation kind of showed that indeed at current levels it pencils out, the developer would save some money. But if you enacted the new income levels, then they're actually losing money on the project and it's no longer feasible to build. So that's where I left off. If I see data, that contradicts that, I'm happy to change my mind. But the only data I have is what I personally, crunched through. And that to me shows that if we did that change to the 12-year, I don't think it would get used. We'd have less affordable housing. So I currently would not support that change. And then number 4 was, I believe the proposal on the table was to completely remove the 8-year MFTE. I have similar concerns on that one. It was enacted, by the state as an option to promote affordable housing, right? It is market rate, but the idea being the more housing you get out there, the more prices drop. I believe I proposed I'd be fine with putting an income on it. I think a lot of the community hesitation on it was that the 8-year, there was a perception that it's going towards higher end, call it luxury apartments, condos. I don't currently see the data supporting that, but I would have been happy putting an income restriction on it and say, okay, let's put an upper income of 20% above the median, somewhere in there that really defines it as market rate. I believe a problem there that I've heard from talking to some folks is that would place too high a burden on the city staff to track it. because there's so many that use the 8-year exemption. So that's my current understanding. So I would currently lean towards not getting rid of the 8-year. I think it's still doing good and actually creating affordable housing from what I've seen. I would consider that income limit change, but I don't, it doesn't sound like that's a feasible option. Right now it's black or white, keep it or get rid of it. So if those are the two options, I would lean towards keeping it at the moment.
Thank you. And so, and I've done some research too on this, and, there's no easy solution for affordable housing for the houselessness crisis we have. What I do have some research on is that there's really no proof that rents will lower or stabilize when more housing is enacted. In fact, it goes the other way, that rents continue to increase in communities where, where more housing is built. And so if you were to come to me and tell me like, yes, like if we, we have more housing, that rents will stabilize or maybe even lower, because that's the concept. The concept is, free market, right? But like this is we're in a capitalist society, and there's just no data that I can put. I am open to data showing that rents do stabilize or lower when more housing comes up in communities. So we have those two sides, right? And so that's why this issue got super sticky, and why I think we need to have a discussion amongst the three of us to try to find some consensus, and also not bring any additional burden to administration for having to have a code that they just don't have capacity to enforce. So I appreciate, Jeff, that you've done that legwork to talk to Andrea about what DCD has capacity to implement, right? I'd like to see your numbers, like how you rough penciled it out. Did you do that at a meeting at some point in time you presented it, or do you just have it on the back of an envelope there sit in front of you?
No, I wrote it up formally and sent it out to council and mayor. So it should be in the email. And
I do remember that. If you might be able to forward that to me again, so it's at the top of my stack.
Sure.
I remember you sent that out. That'd be great, so I could look at that again. And that leads me into my next topic, which was the REIT, the 350K that you presented in that white paper that you sent us, Mike. If council doesn't approve this change to the MFTE, which I'm not sure where we're going to lean towards. That's why the three of us need to try to kind of come to a consensus on it, because we're all representing three different value systems, I think, and I think we represent the voices of council as far as the variety of our lenses. But if we make no changes to MFTE, we've got to have some kind of solution. So I guess I was just, we're already implementing home funds, the CDBG. I don't know what we can do with that for affordable housing. I have no idea what the projects that we can implement from the new legislation for the 350 and REIT. So can you talk to me a little bit about REIT and how we can possibly use those funds for affordable housing programs? Oh, you're muted, my friend.
That's a good question. I think, looking into the statute and freeing up those funds for, things that are eligible for affordable housing, and we're doing some of those things with rental assistance. You can build projects, you can build tiny homes, you can do all the things I think that the council's aware of, but what funding is actually going to get that done? It really, that legislation that changed gave you a source of those refunds at a cap. And that was the dollars that we kind of delivered at $350,000 up to, and what can that really do for the city, and what can we utilize that for? So I don't know what else I can offer. I think the council has good ideas as the administration on how to utilize those funds, the best value of the dollar. So
I wondered if you've had a discussion with the mayor yet about ideas for how, I guess, are these REIT funds already allocated? They're not really.
So there's a good question. That's a great question. I think earlier tonight you heard a $1.1 million overrun on a project. So those refunds, I would say, are essential to the current existing structure that we're operating under. If we've got a project that has additional needs, that has cost overruns, and we want to finish that project, REIT is our source of revenue. REIT is our source of revenue to fund that gap. Tonight, we tried to go a different direction with other restricted funding. So I think those are valuable dollars where we don't know where we're going to be in 12 to 18 months with the recession hitting to be able to finish the projects we've already committed to. So I think working through, we're still gathering data from the departments. The budgets aren't due until tomorrow or Thursday, I believe it's Thursday, coming back from the proposals from each department. Then we set up a series of meetings with the mayor, figure out, looking at the council's goals and priorities, looking at the mayor's goals and initiatives, and how we build this budget to propose to be delivered in October to the council. I will tell you those dollars are going to be allocated in some manner toward match projects, funding gaps. As far as new initiatives or affordable housing, haven't heard anything new from
Right.
council, from the mayor. We have established programs. We have the rental assistance program. We are building the affordable housing fund for available funding. Those things are all still there. We have some great initiatives that are in place. Anything new, I haven't heard that yet. We will meet with the mayor and some new ideas. There's other proposals outside of affordable housing that we've been talking about as well, EDI. So a lot of different programs and things that are coming, but we're still pretty far away from putting that all together and having a package to deliver. So
I think that the community has been, there's a lot of community asks, but this is a big community ask, is to help with the houselessness crisis and affordable housing. Jeff, I don't know where you sit with this. I don't know if 350K is really, it's not that much out of the REAP funds, is it? I mean, not to say that we would use that entire capacity for affordable housing, but how much of the percentage of our projected REAP funds would that be for next year? That's hard to say.
I'd have to run what we're calculating. I think we're at $2 million for projected revenue in REAP, so you can do the math, what that looks like. So
about 15%. I mean, I'm just spitballing it. If 15% of our REAP funds were allocated for affordable housing options, I think that the optics on that would be amazing for the requests of the community, whether it's they're complaining about houselessness or or they want more resources for it. And there's a need. So, I mean, not to say we have to recreate the wheel. There's other programs that we can put it towards.
Exactly. And that's what I would ask as we build the budget. Our job is to show you here's the consequences to be there, like the pros, the cons, is to have what do we want to use the funds for? We want to maximize our dollars. So any program that we're trying to fund, we're looking, okay, what's the deliverable? And so do we reinforce a program we already have in place? So like the rental assistance program, there's HUD CARES funds that went into that, our own $100,000 that go into it, the BHA's match that goes in that program, and also an allocated portion of the ARPA funds was $500,000 to fund in that program. We're still trying to get feedback of, okay, where's their capacity? What are we seeing in that program? And so at what point have you hit your I don't want to use, critical mass of funding that program, but you fund it more? Is there more need there still? So maybe that's where these funds can go toward, or is it something else?
What we know is that, sometimes, what we know is that I believe it was $5 million in vouchers are going unused because landlords aren't accepting them. So programs like that, we wouldn't want to just for optics put money towards, right? So what's functioning, what's working. My preference, this is my personal preference, is that we find, secular resources that can assist, the BHA, resources within our community structured resources that are working, that are at capacity, that have a wait list, that need, there's people, that are on the wait list that can't get the funding for things that they can actually put into practical use. Some of the, rental assistance and weatherization and things like that. So where can we beef that up while we have this temporary legislation in place? Is my thought. I don't know.
And those things internally are at work. So we have partnerships like community frameworks and home builders. And
community frameworks would be amazing.
We've partnered with them historically. We have KCR. So all those things are in the works. So that is in the budget. That is part of the budget development is where's the need? Where are we hearing from our partners? Are they asking for resources? Last year we were able to pivot during our CBG discussions and be able to say, hey, we can fund this whole program request because we have ARPA dollars available that is eligible for these 3 programs, not all of them, but these 3, so we can fund. So we're always doing that. And so now that we have resources that maybe have freed up, we have to look at that potential need, what we're taking away from or what we're giving. So that is what we're doing right now. So the proposal that will come to you will, hopefully we all try to think of everything that's coming our way, and then we propose what we believe is a balanced budget that meets the initiatives of council and the mayor. And then at deliberation time is when we go, I heard about this. This is what I'd really like to fund. And we
Mhm.
look for those opportunities. Okay, if I fund this, what goes away? Because at the end of the day, we're bringing
Yeah.
something we believe doesn't have any more real wiggle room. We provide for recession. We try to recession proof the budget a little bit. We want to maximize the dollars for the output to our community. We don't want to be sitting on money just to sit on money. We want to make sure it's going back to the community, back to our residents. So that's going to be the proposal and budget. And I know we're going to sit down, Karen, myself, and you, and Councilmember Fry, have a great discussion. We met with Jeff recently. I thought it was a really, really robust discussion.
Oh, you're
Not
frozen.
just about things like that. Oh, let
No,
me
you're
go
back.
back. Am I
You're
back
back.
now?
You were frozen for a
Okay.
minute. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to have and I do want to get that on the books. I know I left you a message, and so just if you could hit me back up with time. Sorry, I was in Winslow, Arizona, literally on a corner in Winslow, Arizona on Monday.
No problem. So anytime you want me, I thought it was an invaluable meeting with Jeff, and also I've also met with Councilmember Mockler. It was a very wide discussion of how the budget kind of works and what we're trying to do, and what will come to you in the fall, and how you can have impact. And the more we funnel like ideas into the proposed budget is through like the council president, then into the mayor, and say, hey, that sounds like a good idea. We've talked about a diversity director or a consultant, and that's already in the works. It's in the works. You saw an email. That's how those things kind of make it in the proposed budget. And at the end of the day, council has to say, okay, we only have so many tokens. Where do we put them all?
Of course,
that's what happened, and that's what happened. So these are all great ideas.
I know. Yeah.
So we'd all love to fund them all. So.
Yeah, and I've worked on a few budgets in the past, nothing like near this scale. So it was just a federal grant program that I worked with for 7 years. And so, I get that they never seems to, and not to mention the restrictions on sources of funding. Yes. You can't just fix every pothole in Bremerton with every dollar, but it would be nice. I know, but a couple last minute questions, and then I want to retire this meeting because this mister has really held up its own. It's misting me just great. But once I move out of this circumference, I'm sweltering. I wanted to kind of check in. Something that somebody had mentioned is that there wasn't a lot. I know that tertiarily, is that a word? I just said it. We're gonna make it a word. That there were other affordable housing allocations within the budget. But when it came to affordable housing, there was a small line item. And so I guess, and just knowing how robust our, basically, we put a lot of wording into the affordable housing line item for our goals and priorities, right? Mm-hmm. So I just want to make sure that we're delivering something to the community that honors our goals and priorities, and that asks from the community to assist people who, vulnerable folks. And my hope is, of course, that that's balanced out with the funding for the Arts Commission, but not so much that it looks like we're just giving a bunch of money to arts and not to the people that need it the most that are vulnerable. You know what I mean? No, and that's obvious. Definitely. That's not something I probably didn't even need to say to you because you're a professional. So, right.
And to quick respond on the, because we're kind of on the record here, there is a little bit of a misnomer in our funding structure. So you see an affordable housing fund. And I think if I was a community member, I'd think, oh, that's all their money for affordable housing.
Right.
It's not. Right. That is an affordable housing capital fund dedicated from a source of revenue through the MFTE program that is just there to fund the bucket of money. It's not a large amount of money. No. So the level of effort in the Bremerton budget is not $75,000. It's not $100,000. In the last year, it's over $1 million with the HUD CARES funds, with the city commitment, with the matching grants. And that's not even including weatherization. That's not including some of those other programs we fund through CBG. So the level of effort there is a 7-figure number, not a $75,000 number. But understandably, it's hard to get to that number if you read the budget from an outside perspective.
Right.
Because it's not that granular level. But a lot of it lives in CBG. A lot of it lives in non-departmental. So it's just that one fund is a little bit confusing. And we'll try to make sure we have good conversations in the budget process about that. And we have a good spotlight on what our commitments are to the community with the affordable housing crisis that we're under.
Yeah. Community frameworks would be an awesome place.
Mhm.
Anyway, lots of great ideas. I'm sure you'll you'll propose something that is very balanced and addresses all that. I would like to end this meeting. Jeff, do you have anything else you want to add? Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just
I
gonna
just
say
ignored you through all that. I apologize.
No.
I let you have
Um,
parking. I took the other business. All right.
That
your
works
turn.
too. Yeah, no, I just
Oh,
wanted to say thanks for the affordable housing funding options PDF that you sent, Mike, that I know a bunch of staff worked on too. I read through that whole thing before the meeting and it was super helpful. I have one or two questions. Okay, if I just email you on them, I think you answered them.
Just reach out, email, call me, whatever you
Okay,
want to do is fine
perfect.
with me.
Sounds good. No, but it was super helpful. So no, thanks
Wonderful.
to you all.
Oh, that was it?
That's
Oh,
it.
awesome.
Got the rest.
Okay, then I am adjourning this meeting. Okay, thank you, everybody. I sure do appreciate you.
Thank you very much. And Jennifer, just reach out, let me know when you want to meet. We're open.
Thank you.
Just
Yeah,
let us
just
know.
send me an email. Actually, my iPad isn't even working right now, but
I'll ping you in the morning and just let me know whenever you get a chance, and
yeah,
we'll try
I
to meet
sure
before I
think.
go on vacation. So
Oh, when are you going on vacation?
I've got a few weeks. I've got
Okay.
heading down the Oregon coast on the, it looks like the week of the 8th, week of the
Okay.
8th, and back the 16th.
Well, I would love to get in on a day when Karen's in, Monday or Wednesday, as soon as possible.
Yep.
And so hit me up and we'll figure it out. And I appreciate you. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay cool, hydrate, eat ice cream.
Thanks all.
Bye.